What's going on, everyone? We are off and we are running on the women's basketball rundown. I am Kadarius Washington, and it is a pleasure to have you in. My apologies for being MIA this past week. As I said in my past women's basketball rundowns, I am a 22-year-old working grad student, so I was doing a lot of working 22-year-old grad student things. But we are back. And I know it's Wednesday, and usually Wednesday is a sports rundown day around here, but we've got the women's basketball tournaments going on. We've got a few games going on here. We've got Syracuse with a 2-point lead at the start of the fourth quarter, 60-58 over Boston College. Arkansas up on Georgia, 45-39 in the third. Southern Indiana, if you're into that, up on Tennessee State, 56-35, and then we've got a few other games later on today. We've got four finals, excuse me. Georgia Southern beat Louisiana Monroe in the Sun Belt tournament, 75-69. Tennessee taking care of Texas A&M in convincing fashion. A little bit more on them later. UCF taking care of BYU in the Big 12, and George Washington taking care of Loyola Chicago in the Atlantic 10. But nevertheless, it's a pleasure to have you in. So I want to get started with some of the news from yesterday. The ACC and SEC gave out their player awards and honors, and I'm going to start with the ACC right quick. So, no surprise, Hannah Hidalgo taking home the Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC. Toby Fournier, Rookie of the Year. You've got Danny Carnegie, Sixth Player of the Year. You got Zoe Brooks from what's the name? NC State. Incredible job by her in that game against Notre Dame from a couple of weeks ago. And then you've got Wes Moore from NC State as well, taking home the Coach of the Year honors. And a lot of people were upset, saying that it should have been Niele Ivey. Now, if you wanted to give it a split with Wes Moore and Niele Ivey, I guess you could make a case for that. But nonetheless, that's a good job by him. But I really want to focus on the SEC. So, Michaela Blakes of Vanderbilt, no surprise, won Freshman of the Year. You've got Mylasia Fawiley winning Sixth Player of the Year. Now, honestly, I thought either Joyce Edwards or Tessa Johnson was going to win, but I don't have a problem with Mylasia Fawiley, especially with the second half of the season, so that's a good job by her. But here's where I have trouble. They gave Madison Booker from Texas SEC Player of the Year. Listen, first of all, I do not want to diminish anything that Madison Booker has done. She's a heck of a player. Texas has had heck of a season, and Booker was the catalyst behind all of that, especially after getting embarrassed by South Carolina their first go-around. But at the same time, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So I'm guessing Anissa Morrow doesn't exist. I'm guessing Anissa Morrow averaging a double-double for the season doesn't matter. I'm guessing Anissa Morrow becoming one of only two players in the history of Division I basketball to record 100 career double-doubles is absolutely irrelevant. Madison Booker is the SEC Player of the Year. Anissa Morrow has more points per game, more rebounds per game, and a better field goal percentage than Madison Booker, and they gave Booker the award anyway. And on top of that, Vic Schaefer won the SEC Coach of the Year. Now listen, folks, two things can be true at the same time. Number one, we are painting this Texas team out to be better than I believe they are. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't mince my words. Incredible team. If the playoffs started today, they would be the number one overall seed. A legitimate championship contender. But at the same time, I really believe we are painting this Texas team out to be better than they really are. That's number one. And then number two, I really do believe that there is bias amongst the SEC voters when it comes to South Carolina and LSU. And if you don't think that there's bias in the SEC when it comes to LSU and South Carolina, then you're not paying attention. But nonetheless, I thought that was an absolute disgrace. I mean, not giving the award to Anissa Morrow. I mean, if you asked me last week or about a month ago who I thought the SEC Player of the Year was, I would have said Anissa Morrow, no question. But they gave it to Madison Booker. I mean, incredible player, but they definitely should have given that to Morrow. I thought that was a disgrace on that end. But nevertheless, let's keep on going here. We didn't even get to Diana Taurasi retiring, so we'll do a little bit on that later on. But a little more storylines of the women's college basketball. Juju Watkins, she absolutely owns UCLA. In her 2 games against UCLA, she's averaged 45% from the field, 50% from 3, and look at these numbers here. 34 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 blocks, and a steal. I mean, Juju Watkins, we knew she was incredible, but when it came to UCLA, my goodness, that was the best that we've seen of Juju Watkins this season in those games against UCLA, so that's a good job by her. And also, I tweeted this out on my Twitter at CW Talk Sports, at CWTALKS Sports. I'm putting UCLA on Fraud Watch. Because we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I believe. There have been several games where if Lauren Betts was not playing, UCLA would probably have a little more losses on their schedule. And I think especially after dropping both of their games this season to USC, obviously we knew UCLA was beatable, but I think that they are officially on Fraud Watch as we get into these conference tournaments and, of course, the NCAA tournament. And another team that I'm putting on Fraud Watch is Notre Dame. I mean, coming off of that, losing those couple of games to, I believe it was NC State, and they lost another game. I can't think of the other loss right now. But Florida State, that was the other one. I really believe that Notre Dame and UCLA are the 2 teams that I have on Fraud Watch as we get into the... Now, they did beat Louisville on Sunday, but just like how you can make a case for Notre Dame to win a championship, you got to be careful with Hidalgo. You got to be careful with Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles, and of course their tendencies to go rogue. So those are the 2 teams that I have on Fraud Watch as we go into this NCAA tournament. And then for UConn, Paige Beckers was honored by the Huskies with her jersey hung into the rafters with the Huskies of Honor. And another little storyline from it, AZ Fudd is a little bit undecided of whether she's going to go pro or not. And Gino Auriemma, the coach of UConn, already said that he wants a decision. He usually would like a decision anyway before we get to the NCAA tournament and, of course, at the end of the Big East tournament. So that's going to be a little storyline to monitor as we get you going here. And another thing, Ole Miss getting snubbed out of the AP Top 25, I think that's an absolute joke. I mean, you literally beat number 7 LSU, the 7th-ranked team in the nation, one of the best teams by far in the SEC, and they put South Dakota State over Ole Miss. I mean, sorry, that's a joke right there. I love Coach Yo of Ole Miss, and I think they're going to be a really dangerous team in this SEC tournament and in the NCAA tournament. So that's going to be something to pay attention to as we get going. And Tennessee Yeah, they took care of Texas A&M earlier today, beat them by 40. And originally we thought they were going to play tomorrow, but they ended up playing today because of that absolutely gutless, pathetic, and embarrassing loss to Georgia on Senior Day. And I believe that they had a 2-game skid coming into this game, which makes it even worse. Now listen, I love Tennessee. I love Kim Caldwell. They're a very fun team to watch. But another thing about Tennessee, enough with these substitutions. I mean, my God. How are you giving your players a rhythm? You can't find who's in a rhythm or not. All of these substitutions and all of this pressing. I mean, it was fun to watch earlier in the season, but this is the tournament, dang it. I mean, my goodness. Take it easy with these substitutions. I mean, look. As I just said, Tennessee, they're another dangerous team. They're another team that I like to watch as we get into this tournament. But my God, all of these substitutions. I mean, you know it's an issue when you've got freaking SEC Network putting a clock on the last time Tennessee last made substitutions. I mean, my goodness. But nonetheless, they got away with the win against Texas A&M, which was pretty much a punching bag for Tennessee this season. Talasia Cooper had an amazing game as well. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but I think she went like 18-9. Don't quote me on that. But nonetheless, Tennessee, they get Vanderbilt tomorrow. And last time they faced off, that was a game that went down to the final buzzer. So I think that's going to be a fun game to watch tomorrow as we get the second round of the SEC tournament underway. And a little quick thing about Diana Taurasi. We didn't get to cover this last week. Of course, we know all-time leading scorer in the W. All those technical fouls being remembered. She was literally, like, you think about it, you could make an argument that she was like the Kobe Bryant of the sport. If you think about it, spending 20 years all in one franchise, winning those championships, all that scoring, and pretty much how she was off the court, and of course with Team USA, one of the all-time great players, all-time great Mount Rushmore players in the history of women's basketball. So congratulations for her, and she's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame in a couple of years. All right, let's get into this Unrivaled real quick. Unrivaled standings after this past weekend. We've got the Lunar Owls at 11-1. We've got the Rose, who just clinched a playoff spot this week, at 7-5. We've got Vinyl, Mist, and Laces all at 5-7, and the Phantom, who I think right now are pretty much cooked, at 3-9. Excuse me. And from the weekend, Lunar Owls and Mist both went 2-0. Rose and Vinyl each split their games, and Laces and Phantom both held out of the win column at 0-2. All right, a couple of updates for Unrivaled from this past weekend, and Megan Hall of the USA Today, she reported on it first. Sabrina Ionescu of Phantom will miss the remainder of the season due to prior commitments. Benijah Laney Hamilton will miss the remainder of the season from the Laces due to injury. I believe she was on the Laces last time I remember. Nas Hillman from the Atlanta Dream has been signed to a player relief contract, and we should expect Kate Martin of the Laces and Kalia Copper of the Rose to be back at the end of the season, so around next weekend or the playoffs should Laces join the Rose. All right, and also Marina Mabry of the Phantom finally made her Unrivaled debut, and as expected, it was kind of a bit of a slow start. 3 for 12 from the field, 1 for 9 from 3. Yikes. 9 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. I didn't think she was going to play this year, if we're being brutally honest. But Marina Mabry is back, but I think it might be a little too little too late for the Phantom, as they're at 3-9 and pretty much on the outside, far on the outside looking in as far as the Unrivaled playoffs are concerned. All right, let me give you my top 5 performers from this past week of Unrivaled. Number 5, I got to go with Alyssa Thomas. 61% from the field. 42 had 14 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, and was 2 assists away from a triple-double on Monday's game against the Rose, so that's a good job by her. Number 4, I got to go with Breanna Stewart. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was screaming and yelling about Breanna Stewart showing her age and especially getting embarrassed at that 1v1 tournament, but she had a pretty good weekend this weekend. 43 points, 7-7 with 3 steals against the Phantom and 2 blocks versus Rose. So she was definitely a presence on offense and defense this past week in Unrivaled. Number 3, Brittany Griner. I mean, 76% from the field, 3 for 3 from 3. Now, I know I said I do not like my bigs. I do not like my 5 shooting a whole bunch of threes, but she was making them. But nevertheless, that's a good job by her. 22 points for the weekend, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and had a 3-block performance on Monday. And I tweeted this out on my Twitter as well. Brittany Griner has seemingly gotten comfortable with this 3-on-3 format. And as we go ahead into the WNBA season in about a couple of months, whenever she gets comfortable in a situation, she is going to be a really good player. She's going to be very disruptive, and she's pretty much going to own the paint. So that's a good job by her. Number 2, I got Napheesa Collier. 61% from the field for the weekend, 25 points, 10 rebounds. Averaged a steal and 2 blocks this weekend. So there we go there. And then number 1, Chelsea Gray. I mean, my goodness, you can't say enough about Chelsea Gray. 50% from the field, 46% from 3. 32 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Incredible performance by Chelsea Gray. All right, so let me get into the main story of what I want to talk about this evening. Now, I tweeted this out on my Twitter, and little did I know that tweet was going to go viral. Let me pull that up for you right quick. It got, we're literally almost at 1,000 likes on that thing, which is absolutely incredible. And I did not think it would go as viral as it did. And here's what I said. I said, quote, "The way Chelsea Gray and Angel Reese has turned this Rose team into a winner and a legitimate threat to win the title is absolutely crazy. Plus, we need to have a serious conversation about Chelsea Gray winning Unrivaled MVP." And I had someone say, well, how in the world can you consider Rose, who is a 500 team, against Napheesa Collier and the Lunar Owls, who have been the best team in Unrivaled all season? So let me get into this. So if you're looking at the total season, yes, Napheesa Collier is averaging 26 points a game to Chelsea Gray's 21. Napheesa Collier is averaging 11 rebounds to Chelsea Gray's 5. Now, Chelsea Gray is averaging more assists, 6 assists to 3 in that category. But Napheesa has a better field goal percentage, but Chelsea has a better 3-point percentage. Napheesa's better in both defensive categories, and obviously Chelsea Gray has more game-winning shots, 5 to Napheesa's 1. But here's where I make my case for Chelsea Gray to win Unrivaled MVP. So in the last 5 games, Chelsea Gray has averaged more points per game. She's still averaging more assists and then more 3-pointers per game. Chelsea Gray with 28 points to Napheesa's 23. Now, Napheesa is averaging more rebounds because she stays in the paint, obviously, 11 to 6. and of course more field goal percentage, and still in the defensive categories. And a few notes about this. Napheesa Collier has had 5 30-point performances this season, while Chelsea Gray only has one. Napheesa Collier has scored at least 16 points in every game this season, while Chelsea Gray was held to 7 at the end of January in their game against the Laces. Napheesa Collier has had 8 games scoring 20 or more, while Chelsea Gray has had 7. But the thing is, Chelsea Gray has had a streak where she has scored at least 26 points in 7 of her last 8 games. And Napheesa Collier has averaged a block or a steal in every game this season, while Chelsea Gray only has 6. So if you're looking at overall body of work, you can make an argument that, Napheesa is still the league MVP. She's the best player on the best team. And that's the one thing that I hate about sports when it comes to MVP awards and how they've been relegated to being the best player on the best team. And now listen, I won't be mad if Napheesa Collier does win MVP, and rightfully so, but this Rose team was dead a month ago. Dead. I mean, 1-4 out of the playoffs, and the way that Chelsea Gray has played, and then Angel Reese working with Lisa Leslie, and how much her game has improved since then, and Chelsea Gray just hitting shot after shot after shot after shot, and being clutch in garbage time of these games, and willing this Rose team from 1-4 into the playoffs and being a legitimate champion. I mean, you seriously got to look at this, people. I mean, you might have to overlook this stigma from being the best player on the best team, and actually look at this and look at how far this Rose team has come. And as we all know, as we watch the W, Chelsea Gray, when she's healthy, is by far one of the best players in the league. And so she should get serious consideration for MVP. Now, in fairness, number one, I didn't say who or what was going to win. I just said there needed to be a conversation. That's number one. And number two, I haven't put my vote in yet. I'm going to do like a lot of media people do when it comes to sports. Wait until the last regular season game on Monday night. And then afterward, I'll go ahead and I'll cast my ballot in as far as that's concerned. And a very interesting thing, too, the Rose take on the Lunar Owls on Friday night, I believe. And that could be a game where you can argue that could pretty much decide the league's MVP. I mean, I'm really excited for that game. I'm really excited to get into the playoffs. It's very bittersweet. I mean, this unrivaled season has gone very fast. I mean, it's crazy, but I really enjoyed what I've seen from this season, and I am especially anticipating what we're going to see on Friday night. And if the game is close and neck, I mean, that's literally going to be a game that may come down to the last shot. And like I said, that could pretty much decide the league MVP as we get going. All right, another look at these tournament games. Looks like Boston College and Syracuse. Looks like that game's going to come down to the wire. Boston College right now with a 1-point lead in the fourth. Arkansas up on Georgia 60-54 at the end of the third. In the Big 12, in the second quarter, you got Colorado up on Houston 21-12. And later on today, we've got Washington against Minnesota in the Big Ten tournament. I believe that's the opener. And then you've got Pittsburgh and Virginia in the ACC. Let me see some more of these Power Fives. You've got Mississippi State and Missouri later on tonight. You've got Rutgers and Nebraska. You've got Arizona State taking on Cincinnati, even though they haven't been all that great still I've had an eye on them this season. Then you've got Clemson and Stanford. And then you've got, let me see here as far as the power conferences. And then you've got Auburn and Florida for the nightcap of the SEC. You've got Iowa, Wisconsin for the Big Ten. You've got Texas Tech and then Kansas for the Big 12 championship. So those are some games to monitor as we're in day one of the Power 5 Conference Championships in women's basketball. Well, friends, that will do it for the women's basketball rundown. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to follow me on Twitter at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports. And also follow me on Bluesky. I'm there too. I post a lot there. Also at CW Talk Sports, at CWTALKS Sports. I'll try to come back on here tomorrow and look at day 2 of the women's conference championships. So hopefully we'll see you then. Good night, everyone.